I'm Justin Boyd.
Tristan Jones.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement, and welcome to Watchers Football Weekly, a podcast within a podcast. And a podcast, it's all about the pigskin. We are here today to talk about week 6 of the NFL season. And Tristan, as you're very well aware, your Chiefs weren't playing this week. They were on a bye. The other undefeated team in the league, the Minnesota Vikings, also were on a bye. So that kind of gave the center stage for the weekend to the Ravens and the Commanders. That's right. The battle of the Beltway was the game of the weekend going in. Turned out to be a pretty good game on the field as well. What'd you think about this game where the Ravens won 30-23?
Man, I thought it was a good game. In my heart of hearts, I woke up hoping that it would be a great game. But it was just run-of-the-mill standard good game between perennial playoff team versus upstart, emerging good team. They kind of went, back and forth, low-scoring game. Lamar throws a pick on the first drive. But once Baltimore really got a lead, they were able to just kind of run it through. Derrick Henry just kind of did whatever he wanted to, which in turn led to a lot of play action. And Lamar and their offense doing whatever they wanted to, and they just kind of took control and just never, let their foot off the gas. I left that game even more impressed with Jaden Daniels. Just his ability, Ravens intentionally took away deep threat. They took away pretty much all explosive throws, too high. They just completely everything on the outside and deep. They just took that away. And Jaden stayed patient. Hit the flat, hit his medium routes, his immediate routes. Stayed poised. Didn't turn the ball over. Avoided sacks for the most part, except in third longs. I'm even more impressed with him, and I think he's already a star, rightfully in the MVP conversation. I don't think he'll keep up this pace throughout the whole season, but for right now, I just super impressed. I was impressed with what I saw from him at LSU, but he surpassed that. He's shown himself to understand how to play the position quarterback at a high level. It's just a matter of just reps and experience. But great game. And Lamar is, obviously as a Chiefs fan, as a Mahomes fan, Lamar is looking at the runaway MVP as of week 6. I do think the Pat Mahomes MVP I've said this every week for the last 4 weeks, but the Patrick Mahomes MVP campaign starts this Sunday. But Lamar's playing out of his mind right now. Even the pick he threw was flukish for the most part. So really good game. One perennial playoff team versus a team that at this point we have to take seriously, at least somewhat, as a future playoff team this year in 2024. But just good game. Hoping for a great one, but got a good game, and I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. Both teams left the game 4-2. Remember, the Ravens were 0-2. Now they've won 4 straight. They're 4-2. The Commanders still lead the NFC East, and after watching the Cowboys play and the Eagles all season, I feel like the Commanders have a pretty good handle in the division. Obviously, it's still very early. But you talked about the quarterback play. These are 2 quarterbacks who don't turn the ball over. They both had a turnover in the game, but I think they both have 2 interceptions for the entire season. So they both had one in this game. But very well played game. Once again, the Ravens give the ball to Derrick Henry, and he's tough to bring down. 130 yards rushing. When you've got him, Lamar's running, you've got Lamar's passing, finding Zay Flowers, and Mark Andrews got involved. They've got Likely and Bateman. They've got some weapons. That's a team that's I think we're going to see them
well-rounded team. The worst part about the Ravens is their defense. The secondary for the most part is getting lit up. They were trending well, with this game, but I need to see it more because they lost guys, got a lot of injuries, and that secondary is just giving up the ass on a lot of these plays. So I need to see them continue to trend upward as far as secondary getting stops, but outside of that, like, they're just a well-rounded team.
Yeah, definitely. I want to go to the chat real quick. I want to say hello to Geeking Out with Melly Mel. Mel,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Thanks for popping in.
Yeah.
We do appreciate that. So, I mentioned how this was the game of the day as far as like in the noon window. This is the main game. You have Romo and Nance calling this game. For the afternoon window, also on paper, sounded like a good game. On Fox, it was the Lions at the Cowboys. And unfortunately, the game was played on the field and not on paper because the Lions, they weren't paper tigers. They were they were Lions, and they roared over the Cowboys 47-9.
They
Kristen,
would
what are
have
your
beat
thoughts
the
on
shit
this
out of
game?
them. They would have beat the hell out of them on paper too. Sandpaper, like, pickle paper, construction paper. You want to start with the Lions part, or you want to start with the Cowboys?
Wherever you want to go with it.
I'll start with I'll try to be better about acknowledging the winners first.
Okay, there we go.
I just think that's a better way of discussing these things. The Lions look. I think I know I picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Mm-hmm.
It took a little bit of hit, with Hutchinson going down.
Yeah.
But I still think that team is. You talk about just a well-rounded team. Let's say well-rounded team. They did whatever they wanted to on offense. Yeah. They ran the ball how they wanted to run it. The Cowboys could not tackle them. They couldn't tackle them behind the line of scrimmage, 2 yards, 3 yards. Every time, I think I read that the Lions averaged 3-point-something yards after first contact.
Wow.
And you could, and it shows, like, Montgomery was just bouncing off guys, getting 3-4 extra yards consistently. And when the Lions can run the ball at will, essentially you're at their mercy because Jared Goff then becomes essentially a 140 or 30-something passer rating guy off the play action, right? Like, he just becomes, like, essentially the best quarterback on earth when he can, get play action and really soften that defense up in the second and third levels. And that's what they did. And Cowboys, okay, I'm not going to talk about the Cowboys. That was a dominating road win against a should-be playoff team, or at least, at worst of, at worst or best, a fringe playoff team.
Right.
That's a team that expects to make the playoffs, and they went in there and they dominated them on the road. Yeah. And America's game of the week, in front of Troy, in front of Tom Brady, they went out there and just beat the ever-loving crap out of them in every way. And they just got, at a certain point, just got disrespectful. Oh my God. When you're throwing laterals to your, star right tackle or stuff, that's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that showed me that they walked in there knowing that they were better than the Cowboys, and they were intent on, like, demonstrating that to the highest of high levels. On the Cowboys side, like, they're just embarrassing. That was like, this is 4 straight games at home that they've gotten blown out, or they're in the process of being blown out before, other teams just kind of lets them off the hook. But this is why we were skeptical about the Cowboys. This is why I didn't want to pick them to make the playoffs. I wanted to pick Washington. I still kick myself over that. Like, the last thing I'll say about them, one, they can't run the ball and they can't stop the run. That right there tells me you're not a good team. Like, there's no way you can be a good team when those two things happen. And you can't stop the pass. They're a decent passing team or a good passing team when they got, CD plus other weapons, Cooks, whatever. But at best, they are a good, passing team. This is not the recipe for, a good team. And Dak Prescott is never going to be good enough to be the reason why you overcome, these different flaws. So it was just a microcosm of everything we thought about both of these teams before the season. And I don't think Dallas has done anything to, like, demonstrate that we should not be skeptical about them. Yeah. I think Detroit has done enough to where we should be, like, very optimistic about their chances to, like, get out of the NFC.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about the Cowboys much on this podcast this season, and I think with good reason. There's not a whole lot out there. I mean, they have Dak, they have CD, but then, I mean, they cannot run the ball at all. Like you said, they can't stop the run. Um, they're just kind of a mess. And then they're going in, they have a bye week next week. You wonder, like, will they pull the trigger on Mike McCarthy? Like, this is his final year of his contract, I believe. So who knows? I mean, that it would make sense if you're going to fire your coach, you do it before the bye week. I mean, I would think we're Tuesday now into the week. That's probably not going to happen, but very interesting stuff. I think they come back after the bye against San Francisco, which is a team they just do not match up with that at all. So tough tough sledding for the Cowboys. As far as the Lions, they were running up and down the field, scoring points. Unfortunately, like you mentioned, they lost Aiden Hutchinson in the game. Their star pass rusher, he suffered a broken tibia and fibula, which is brutal. I mean, especially the way it happened. He was kind of going for Prescott, swinging around. It was kind of like friendly fire. One of his own guys kind of ran to his leg. Yeah, you wonder, when he'll be able to return.
DPOY level.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So tough law, and the Lions defense is that's not their specialty. Offense is what they do well. So losing their top defender, one of the better defenders in the NFL, costly injury in the win, but they're moving on. And once again, like we said, NFC North, every team is at least 4-2 or better. So I know
the top 4 point differentials in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's super early, but I mean, is it possible for all 4 of those teams to make the playoffs? I mean, you could, right? Because the other 3 divisions will only have to have a division winner. I mean, mathematically, they're going to play each other and bang each other up. But like right now, that's the best division by far.
I mean, and with the exception of San Francisco, they look like the top 4 teams in the NFC, just by eye test. Like even Chicago, if we, as of right now, look at them as probably like the weaker of those, just because, rookie quarterback, run game is like really just starting to get going over the last couple of games. Even them, really good defense, not great defense, but really good defense.
Yeah.
Weapons on the outside on offense, solid to really good running back, and then a quarterback who's young but emerging. That looks like a playoff team. Green Bay, explosive offense, just enough on defense. Maybe it's average to above average defense, but with a quarterback who's, as he comes back from his injuries, looking more and more like a superstar. Idiotic Will Levis type interception notwithstanding. Minnesota was in the conversation with best defense in the league.
Right.
And at times have looked like even more dominant than number 2, whatever number 2 will be. And then you got Detroit, which is looking like a Super Bowl favorite coming out of the NFC. They look like the top 4 teams in the NFC, San Francisco on a really good day when, everybody's healthy. But even them, they don't have McCaffrey back. And that puts a slightly lower ceiling on what their offense could be. But like those are the 5 best teams in the NFC off top.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And sticking to the division, you kind of mentioned the Bears a little bit. Let's talk about the Bears. They opened Sunday's action, beating the Jaguars in the London game, 35-16. Caleb Williams, 4 TDs. He just looks better and better every game. What did you watch much of this game? It's an 8:30 a.m. kick for us.
My brother, I'm up at 6:30 on a Saturday or on a Sunday.
Okay.
That is, I was up a good. Yeah. I was watching the fucking pregame before this shit came on. I watched every snap of this game up until maybe the last couple after the Bears' last offensive possession.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, every game, like he just continues to look better and better, sharper. Just better, like he's not as skittish in the pocket. Like he's not. It looked like he was seeing ghosts in the first 3 weeks, especially against the Texans. Like he was anticipating the rush, trying to bail out. He looks small in the pocket. Like now he has a good understanding of just seeing the field, using his eyes, throwing, understanding where the hot routes are, like just basic stuff, picking up a blitz, basic Madden things that you do, like, and he just looks much better at that. And I mean, the key has been them getting DeAndre Swift, in the quick pass game, opening up the run game. Keenan Allen is back. He caught 2 touchdowns. They're getting better. Like this, they're not going to put up 40 against a really good defense like right now, but by the end of this year, like they could have the potential to like be one of the better offenses, provided their offensive line keeps trending upward. And that's really been the key to them. Jacksonville though. It was a sad display, especially in that second half. I wanted to cut it off. I would have cut the game off had it not been for Caleb. But like they quit. Like you could tell when teams quitting with like the level of tackling, it's dumb penalties, letting guys just kind of go past them, selling out on blitzes like too much. Like it's a lot of things, but they look bad, man. Yeah. They look really bad. And they have poor Londoners. Back-to-back weeks, man.
Yeah, you've got the Jaguars who are now 1-5. They're staying in London. They're playing another London game this Saturday. Or this Sunday. They're playing they're hosted. They're playing the Patriots, 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. I would say the loser leaves London, but maybe the winner leaves. Maybe the loser stays, or I don't know. Like I don't know what kind of stipulation you could add to the game to give some juice to it. But yeah, relegate them
to the Premier League.
Yeah, I think it's time. Speaking of the Patriots, let's talk about that game because they played the Texans in New England. Their rookie quarterback, Drake May, got his first start. 3 touchdown passes, which that accounted for all their points. The Texans, pretty easy win. I mean, it wasn't like, they won 41-21. Still, the Texans, like, it's crazy because they're 5-1. They have the second best record in the AFC. But to me, like, it's still like they haven't kind of hit their stride yet. Like, Mixon was back, had a big game, 100 yards on the ground, but they're still kind of sputtering a little bit, even though they're 5-1, if that makes sense.
A lot of it early has been like the penalties.
Yeah.
And just the lack of run game. Again, it's trending upward. Playing the Patriots helps. But those have really been like their 2 killers. Obviously, Nico Collins is out for another 3 games after this. Tank Dell, just came back. Like this, it hasn't been the consistency of like having all their weapons there at the same time, while also having the run game working at the same time. But like I said, it's just the one loss looks so bad.
Right.
Like that Minnesota loss, like the offense looked completely discombobulated. Mm-hmm. So when you combine that with like the injuries happening, guys being in and out in certain games, certain weeks, it's just like I said, like they've looked good, but like just good enough. Like they haven't had a chance to put all those things together. Not just for one game, but for like a 2 to 3, 4, game span. So that's a good thing. Like again, 5-1, and they probably played at like a B- level. Like that, this team's gonna be really good. And CJ Stroud he's to the point where like if I was like I haven't had the opportunity to root against him, yet.
Right.
But if I had to root against him, he's in that Joe Burrow, like I'm nervous, in a way that honestly, I'm not as worried about Lamar, like in the regular season. I'm like super scared, but like once it gets really cold and January hits, like I'm just not as scared. With CJ, like I have every piece of confidence that he's going to make the right decision when he drops back. And when he doesn't, like it's a shock to me. And I've only felt that way about like certain quarterbacks, like a number of quarterbacks in my entire life. Not even just now, but like in 39 years, like only a handful of quarterbacks. Like every time you drop back, I feel like you're going to make a dynamic play or just a series of like excellent quarterback plays in a row. So like I said, it's a good thing, man. 5-1 playing at a B- level. Like they have to feel good about that.
Yeah, they've got a good matchup this weekend. They're at the Packers. So that could be a good game. That could be a good test with the Packers and Jordan Love kind of getting it going.
I'm mad because they flexed the Bears Commanders game to 3.
Okay.
So that'll be while we're watching, we're in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like I plan to watch like every part of that game. So that game will be on while we're, at the game. So I was looking forward to locking in on that game as well. But Texans Packers is, man, that could be a shootout.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very, very well could be. Speaking, you mentioned the Niners. You're going to the game this weekend, the big Super Bowl rematch with the Chiefs and 49ers in San Francisco, or in Santa Clara, I should say. The Niners opened the week 6 with Thursday night win over Seattle. Another kind of watchable Thursday game. What'd you come away with that, or what are your takeaways from that game?
My takeaways were that I agree with you that I thought it was a good game. It was entertaining. I've enjoyed watching Seattle play more over the last couple of years. I think Geno has looked really good. I think like some of his performances, like he had 2 interceptions on Thursday that make his overall game look bad, but I thought he threw the ball like really well over the course of that game. And I thought he played very well last week, in a loss. Like he's just throwing the ball well. Like he looks comfortable. He's getting the ball out there. That ball is coming out sharp too. So I don't know if I've ever seen him throw a better ball than I have over the last couple of seasons. It was a good game in which some mistakes were made, and that was kind of like the difference. Seattle really couldn't get anything going offensively in the first half, and they kind of chipped away and got back in that game. And it was really as simple as San Francisco had them in like passing situations over the course of the entire game, and they just took advantage. Geno tried to go for a shot at the end, picked off, and that was that. On the 49ers side, man, I continue to be incrementally more impressed with Brock Purdy. Taking more control of that offense, just making every throw. He made a couple throws which were like stupid, like that Kittle throw to the corner of the end zone, the front corner pylon was stupid. The one he kind of looked left, kind of juke right in the red zone and hit Kittle for that second one was again stupid. So, man, like we have to put more and more. Like I'm not all the way sold on Brock Purdy, but like we have to keep putting more and more respect. Like with every data point, everything he starts checking off. At a certain point, I think he's a good quarterback, but like at a certain point, we got to move you up a tier. If you just keep doing things indicative of being on that tier. So that's where he's at. But good win for San Francisco. Looking forward to seeing them, on Sunday. And just I want to see more Brock, Obviously, we've seen him on the biggest stage versus Patrick Mahomes, but he's been playing well this year. And now comes like more expectations of playing well consistently and playing well at home in a very big game against, the reigning champ. So let's see what he got.
Yeah, the thing about Purdy that's really impressed me the last few weeks is his ability in the pocket to move around. He can get outside the pocket and run around. I mean, he can scramble a little bit. And you're right. He's playing. He's improving every week, and I think eventually it's going to be a thing where it's like we're going to stop talking about how he was the last pick in the draft, and it's just going to be he's Brock Purdy. Like I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady, but there was a certain point in Brady's career where we stopped mentioning that he was a 6th round pick, and he's just Tom Brady. So again, Brock's a long way from being Tom Brady, but he's playing very well. And for a team that's San Francisco, they're kind of banged up. He is. I mean, obviously the quarterback is the guy that kind of how it has the ball in his hands every play, and needs to take charge. And it seems like he's kind of started to do that in his. This is what his second full year as a starter. Yeah,
second full year. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's really kind of taken over that team, and he's playing well. Their running game. I mean, they can run the ball regardless if McCaffrey's back there, whoever's back there. You've got Mason who's had a great year, suffered an injury. We haven't heard yet, I don't think, whether his status for Sunday. But even the guy that came in, that Isaac Garindo, the rookie, had 99 yards. Of course, a lot of it was on that big run toward the end of the game. Do you think that he slid, or do you think that he was like tackled and then kind of slid to, the whole like, oh, we're going to run the clock out? The problem was Seattle still had 2 timeouts. It really wasn't a great move.
And the fullback, I fuck his name up consistently, but like he ran that shit in. Like, like I'll take it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I thought watching it live, I thought he did it on purpose.
Yeah, I did too.
I mean, you just kind of look at like the angle of the slide, like it looked like almost perfect form slide. I would have ran it in. I thought there was, you could have run that in.
Yeah,
I get it, but I definitely thought he did that on purpose, and which I thought was odd at the time, and so did Jerkic, whatever the hell his name is. Damn.
Yeah, I know it's a tough one to say. He's number 44. His wife is famous because she made
next to jackets.
Yeah, she made the jacket that Taylor Swift wore last year at the Super Bowl or in the playoffs or whenever she wore it. So anyway, that should be a great game. Super Bowl rematch, biggest game of the weekend, 325. I don't know if it's on Fox or CBS. It's on one of them. But
it's a Fox game, I believe.
Fox, yeah, probably. Okay, yeah, because the AFC team's on the road. Yeah. So back to week 6 action. What'd you think about the Steelers? They improved to 4-2, beat the lowly Raiders. What'd you think about that matchup?
As a college football fan, I thought watching that game, I was like, this would be the time that Nick Saban would bench Jalen Hurts for like Tua. The defense is good, obviously.
Yeah.
TJ Watt is like perennial DPOY candidate. Defense is amazing. They don't have enough on the outside to have like an explosive offense. And they essentially have run, I would say 60% of it, like a full NFL passing game with Justin Fields back there. Like they're not giving him enough responsibilities, enough reads. It's 1-2, get it out, take off, throw it away, whatever. So I can understand the rumors, speculation about, them trying to go to Russell, because as good as that defense is, it's not good enough to overcome an offense that's probably really only giving you about 13 to 15 points a game, 13 to 16 at the most. And it's just a ceiling like that. It's a hard ceiling that they're going to bump their head on. And that's essentially been the Steelers over the last 3-4 years, not having an elite quarterback, not even a good quarterback. Let's start there. They haven't had a good quarterback since Big Ben in like 2016, 17, something like that. But the defense has been good enough to like drag them to be a 500 or slightly better team. And even though they're 4-2, they look like a 500 or slightly better team, with that offense being like that. So with that being said, like I think Justin Fields has been good. I think he's been a good quarterback for what they've asked him to do. I think he's, semi-excelling in that. He's not putting the defense in a bad position. He's running the ball well. And there's still some things that, again, he only he can do that Russell Wilson cannot do. Like there was a free, like their right tackle just brain freeze and let a guy just run free. And he took that and turned that into like an 8-yard game, 9-yard game. Russell Wilson's not doing that in the year of our Lord, 2024. I watched that game just kind of looking at it from that standpoint, that I understand if Mike Tomlin, while Justin Fields is playing well, also looks and said, hey, can Russell raise our offensive ceiling like just 10% more, and is that enough? You know what I'm saying? As far as the Falcons, I thought it was just a really bad game for them against a really good defense. I didn't think Kirk Cousins or that offense was
Wait,
Pitiful.
you mean the Raiders? Because the Falcons won there.
Raiders.
Yeah, it's okay.
Raiders. Sorry.
It's okay. Like,
Mixing games up.
it's like,
Then I have nothing to say about the Raiders.
yeah. No, I was going to say, yeah, there's nothing really to say about the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm mixing games. Falcons
Yeah.
play the Panthers.
Yeah.
No, that's really the only thought I had about
Yeah,
this game.
I guess my question about this game is, like you mentioned, there's rumors that Russell Wilson may get into some action coming up. I know this is like kind of unheard of in the NFL, but do you think there could be a way where they could play both of them, like rotating? I mean, like, could that work? Could that work in the NFL in 2024? I mean, I know it's kind of like a video game thing, or definitely like a college football thing. College doesn't do that a ton anymore, but could that work at the NFL level?
Mike Tomlin is one of my favorite coaches in the league. I want to say Arthur Smith is off OC.
Offense, yeah, right.
A good OC. Arthur Smith was a solid head coach,
Yeah.
at least a few years. I don't trust either one of them offensively enough to institute a 2-quarterback system. The last time we saw anything close to it has been with the Saints. Taysom Hill and Drew Brees, like stuff like that. I don't think they're capable of doing that. 1, and 2, I don't know if I think Justin Fields is too good to be in a 2-quarterback system while also not being good enough to like completely take a QB position by the horn. So no, I don't see it happen. Like they just have to choose. I don't think either one of them, for the most part, is going to be there next year. So like, I don't know where they go with that. But right now, he's playing well. Just probably not well enough for them to be taken like seriously, as a whole.
Especially when they face tougher competition, because I mean the Steelers haven't really played anybody that good yet. I'm trying to think about who they played. I'm not. There's not a ton of big time AFC teams that are coming to mind that they've faced this year so far.
I'm looking at the schedule now, but yeah, I can't like no one stood out so far.
Yeah, you mentioned the Saints a little bit ago, so let's talk about that game because the Saints. I mean they got rolled by the Bucs in the second half. First half was a competitive game. But this game's noteworthy because Spencer Rattler got his first career start with Carr injured. What'd you see from Spencer Rattler in his first start?
I thought he looked good.
Yeah.
We were watching. We were talking in the group chat. We were like, "Hey, man, Derek Carr, like,
hurry back.
You might not get your job back." I didn't think he was like spectacular.
Yeah.
Nor do I think he's showed that he was good enough to like lead a team to a playoff. So maybe Derek Carr, isn't as much in jeopardy. But I thought he looked good, man. He made some good throws. Like any young quarterback, like he just the pick he threw, I want to say like he just kind of misjudged it, overthrew a guy, got it picked off. But I thought it was good. Like I said, nothing spectacular. It's like a nice C+, B- B- game. And I watched him a lot not a lot. I watched him some in preseason. And I thought he was an intriguing, prospect to kind of watch and see, Derek Carr gets hurt. Could he step in? I thought he had enough to like step in, for some possessions, if need be. I didn't foresee, Carr getting hurt this early, but things happen. But I will say that I would be more interested in watching the Saints with Spencer Rattler back there than Derek Carr. Like Derek Carr, I don't care how good he looks in a particular game. Like I refuse to believe in him. Like so with Spencer Rattler, at least clean slate, big arm. Like this guy was, one of the top high school quarterbacks in the nation. Like he has somewhat of a pedigree. Right. So it wouldn't be a shock if he came in and played and just kind of grew week to week and just played well enough to keep the Saints respectable. Because I don't think they're a good team right now, but they are a solid, respectable one. Whether Derek Carr or Spencer Rattler is back there.
Yeah, Saints they started 2-0. They've lost 4 straight to 2-4. Conversely, the Bucs are 4-2. tied for the lead in the division with the Falcons. Any thoughts on the Bucs and Baker Mayfield and that team?
That team believes in him. I know that because he threw 3 picks in a quarter, and like I kind of went away from the game for a little bit and kind of focused on. I don't even remember what game I was watching, but I turned back and they were up 2 touchdowns after that, and then just continued to pile on. Baker Mayfield's looked great.
Yeah,
outside of maybe one game, like he's looked really good to great. Leading the league in passing touchdowns, your standard Baker Mayfield, trying to do too much turnovers. They've got a really good running game. The defense is something. It's average at best, but man, he's slinging it. I've seen Baker make some like top tier QB throws in tight spaces. And it makes you kind of remember, like, for whatever you thought about Baker Mayfield coming out of Oklahoma, the one thing that he had, the thing that made him a number 1 pick was like he is accurate as hell.
Yeah.
Especially when he's in the pocket, he has time to go through reads, good protection. It's, once he steps out of that pocket and tries to get in like hero mode is when I would say that accuracy drops dramatically. But if he's in the pocket and he has time, like Baker Mayfield could pick you apart, especially if he has weapons. And he has weapons. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, like great 1-2 punch. Like that's a good offense, man. The Bucs are a good team, and I expect we all picked them to win the division. And at this point, it is an expectation that they should win that division. They're clearly the best team in the NFC South.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bucs also got 130 yards on the ground from Sean Tucker, who I'd never heard of until Sunday. So you just never know. You never know with the NFL. One game I want to touch on real quickly was the Colts and Titans game, solely because Joe Flacco's got to start, got the Colts at 3-3, which is, for the AFC South, that's second place in the AFC South. My question to you is about Flacco. Is he one of like the top 15 quarterbacks in the league? Like, cause he looks pretty good for, my question, like, why didn't the Browns try to keep him? Like he definitely would.
That's an easy answer. The Browns are all in on number 4.
Yeah.
And Joe Flacco was clearly better than him.
Yeah.
And that would have caused some locker room rift. It probably would have caused more of a locker room like rift than whatever's happening right now in their locker room. And I'm sure those guys are miserable. But there's Jameis Winston over there. You know what I'm saying? And I think Jameis could and would be better than Deshaun is now, but he wouldn't be so good. He would also throw a pick here and there.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be so good to where you like, oh, Deshaun can't come back. He can't have his position back. Flacco was like that last year. And he has been just as good when he's been on the field this year. Is he a top 15 quarterback? You'd have to tell me why he's not. There's not that many damn good quarterbacks in the league. And if he's not top 15, he's right on the fringe of top 15. Like Flacco will come in and win you a game. Like with his arm, not like, managing the game, not fucking up. He will come in and throw 2 or 3 passes that force multiply that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, whatever that's saying.
Yeah. I like a few weeks ago when Flacco came in, Kevin Durant tweeted that Flacco just hoops.
That's it. That's it.
It's so crazy. Like given, Flacco was a Super Bowl MVP, 10, 12, 13 years ago with the Ravens. Then he's kind of bounced around and now he's in that stage where he's like I said top 15, but like before I asked the question, I was like, is he top 10? Like, is he might be.
I'll say this, Joe Flacco on any given Sunday can look like a top 15 quarterback.
Yeah.
Look like a top 10 quarterback. But you can, even in his prime, like he wasn't consistently a top 5 to 7 quarterback. Like there were, a 6-game stretch here or a good season here, but like it wasn't like a consistently really good, consistently great career, in Baltimore.
He got hot that playoffs that year and just was like he had like the greatest playoffs ever, I think.
Yeah, but he was never bad. That's the thing
Right,
about it. He
exactly.
was just in that top 10 to 15 range, even in Baltimore. But again, he was always good enough to win games, and there was just certain throws that he could make that 95% of quarterbacks can't make. And it's the same. He's essentially the same guy. Like he wasn't a scrambler then, so like you're not expecting him to scramble now. Like, but he will. Again, I could throw this bomb forever, baby. You know, like that arm was on a 99 back in 2012. I might have lost a little bit of it. That just means I'm a 93 now.
Right.
Yeah, he still got that arm. As long as he got that, man. As long as he can shoot it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Dale Curry out here.
Yeah. We talked about the Browns briefly, but let's talk about that Eagles-Browns game a little bit. Cleveland dropped to 1-5. The Eagles won 20-16. AJ Brown had a big day for Philadelphia. I didn't watch a ton of this game. This game was kind of, I don't know. The Browns they're a tough watch for me, I think for all NFL fans, but is there anything that you got out of this game?
Sure. Absolutely. Jalen Hurts is good for Jalen. We talked about this in the group chat, like trying to find like an NFL equivalent or MLB equivalent.
Yeah.
He's an equivalent to a pitcher who only has like 2 pitches.
Yep.
Got a 4-seam and a 2-seam. Like maybe a 4-seam.
But it's a fastball, yeah.
Yeah, like 4-seam and maybe a curve here and there. 4-seam and a slider. He only has 2 pitches. Like he's gonna throw a deep fade, go route, dig, drag, back shoulder fade. Like that's it. You know, like Jalen Hurts is so limited in his passing repertoire that again that puts a lower ceiling on the Eagles offense as a whole. So like, man, you take away those deep plays and just force him to make throws in against defenses that are disguising coverages, you know, that are not just sitting back in the zone and letting them pick them apart, but like zone blitz and like anything complex, getting them out the pocket, making them throw on a run. He can't do that shit for anything. He still can't. He couldn't do it at 2 schools, you know, before he got to the NFL. And he hasn't mastered those things. They won that game because the Browns didn't get into the red zone until the 55th minute of the game. And they were able to hit on some deep throws. Yeah. That essentially was the game. The Eagles, give them props for winning that game. You know, they made plays when they need to make plays. Thought Saquon looked good, you know, not great. He had a solid game. But I can't take them seriously if I don't trust that they have a quarterback that can make tight throws in tight situations. I just don't think that. And I think defenses are getting ever more sophisticated in taking away what the Eagles want to do well. The Browns are just a mess offensively and defensively, even with Myles Garrett and that D-line. Like they're not good. And the offense makes them even worse and puts them in worse positions. So they can't even like play to their strength. So that's what I took from it, man. The Eagles have a Jalen Hurts problem that didn't look like a problem on Sunday and won't look like a problem every Sunday. But as we get closer to January, it's going to be a festering problem that's going to keep them from either making the playoffs or like making a run.
Yeah. Well, one team that doesn't have too many problems, especially quarterback, is the Packers. Jordan Love, 4 TDs as the Packers beat the Cardinals 34-13. 2 of them to Romeo Doubs. Anything about this game? Anything about the Packers you want to mention? That they look good.
I pay money. Jordan Love is one of those quarterbacks that I would pay money to watch him throw incompletions. Like, man, like I just appreciate a quarterback sometimes that just says, "Hey, fuck it, I'm gonna sling it, man. I can get the ball at any part of the field that I want to from any position. Like I'm just that good at throwing the ball." Now it's come back to bite him in certain areas, especially in that game against San Francisco. That's who they played, right? Yeah.
Oh, the Packers played the Cardinals.
No, I'm talking in the playoffs last year.
Oh, the playoffs. Yeah, San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that last pick that he threw because he just got impatient. And then lost to the Eagles this year, same thing. But like, if he can control that little part, like there's an Aaron Rodgers on one shoulder, there's a Brett Favre on the other shoulder, and like one, the Aaron Rodgers is saying, "Hey, you can make every throw, but hey, we don't want to take too many risks." The Brett Favre is like, "Hey, man, you can make every throw, chunk that bitch," you know.
Right.
But if he can kind of balance those things out, man, he has superstar, you know, written on him, and the Packers are going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's what I took from it, man. Kyler Murray. Again, I keep watching the Cardinals, just trying to get. I don't have a conclusion on Kyler Murray. I don't know how good he is. You know what I'm saying? Because every week, even the first half, he looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Second half, they kind of sped the pace up, got some yards downfield. He threw a couple touchdowns, but like that's what it's a tale of two halves for Kyler Murray, or a tale of game to game. Like, he just refuses to be good on a consistent basis for me to like draw some type of conclusion about him. But you know, that Cardinals defense is porous, and they got lit up. And Jordan Love's he's one of the wrong guys you want to see when your secondary is trash, and that's what happened. They got lit
up. Finally, for the week, let's focus on the two primetime games on Sunday night and Monday night. We had the two New York teams in the spotlight for both those games. I really don't enjoy watching the New York teams. I really don't. Let's talk about the Sunday night game. There wasn't a whole lot to it. Bengals 17, Giants 7. Burrow scored on a 47-yard run in the first half, and I said to myself, I said, that's probably enough. And I wasn't far off, because later on in the game, because I was watching the Penguin, I turned back and it's still 7-0 Bengals. Eventually, the Bengals tacked on some extra points, and the Giants finally got on the board. But man, tough. The Giants are a tough sell for me for any kind of TV watching entertainment, or whatever you want to call it.
It's such an incompetent. I can't watch a team with an incompetent offense. Yeah. Like, I can watch a team with talent that isn't just getting it done, that's not executing, but like, they look incompetent, from coaching staff to quarterback to Malik Neighbors wasn't even playing. Like, there was no reason. The only reason I watched that game is because we do this podcast. There was no other reason to watch the game. I'm with you. Like, I can't. So I feel like I'm being punished.
Yeah.
When Daniel Jones is on prime time. Like, I feel like I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Like I owe somebody money or something like this. And like, just sit here and watch that shit. It's a horrible watch. I didn't even think the Bengals played well.
No.
And it's not like they were going against like a really good defense. It's like the Giants' suckiness just kind of dragged both teams down.
Yeah.
Or the Bengals were like, hey, man, like you said, 7-0, we can kind of let our foot off the gas. Like that. Yeah. They struggle getting to like the 50, like in the Bengals territory.
Yeah.
I got nothing for you on that shit, man. That's just a horrible, tough watch, man.
Yeah, real tough watch. Moving on to Monday night, better game, but still don't enjoy watching the Jets either. And the Bills got the win 23-20. Bills improved to 4-2 in the AFC East. Jets fall to 2-4. As the Texas Potterhead says in the chat, someone put Aaron Rodgers in his retirement home already. I got to say, Rodgers had a pretty decent game, maybe his best game as a Jet. But I understand the sentiment, Trisha. Tristan, what do you have to say about this game?
I don't really enjoy watching the Bills either too much.
Yeah.
That's
fair. Yeah, fair. Yeah.
I need my Josh Allen reckless. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need you throwing 40-yard bombs to fullbacks on the sideline. Like, I need that type of Josh Allen. Like, restrained Josh Allen is not that fun. Like, yeah. I'm sorry. It's like I think Drake is boring for the most part. But like, imagine Drake without good beats. I'm like, come on, man, what the fuck? What are we doing? I agree that was Aaron Rodgers' best game, and if that's his best game, then the Jets aren't making the playoffs. They may not even sniff the playoffs. If that's his best game, they need Aaron Rodgers to be explosive. Like I talked about it last week. If Aaron Rodgers can sit in a pocket for 2 seconds and make a quick throw, he can still make some of the most beautiful throws that we see in this game.
Yeah.
But like defenses are smart. And they like, hey, this guy really can't move. Like he can't move outside the pocket. He hasn't really been able to move outside the pocket since 2021. Yeah. And that was before he turned 40. That was before the Achilles injury, before all the ankle injuries, the back injuries. Like that was his last good year when like he can actually escape the pocket, make things happen downfield. He just can't do that anymore. So like, man, I don't even have to send an all-out blitz. I don't even need a cover 0 blitz. Like I can send 6. Send 5, send 6, and that's enough to like throw off their entire offense. So we'll see what they made a new addition to their wide receiver room. Yeah. I think that buys him a little bit more time, but again, teams are just gonna send 6, send 7 now. Like you still need time to get out there and actually maximize Devonte Adams by like having time to let him get 20, 30 yards downfield. Otherwise, man, like he's a taller Alan Lazard. Like, you still got to protect Aaron Rodgers. And he's just not good enough, man. He's just not good enough. I think he's probably in the same tier or slightly above like Joe Flacco. If we're being real, like Joe Flacco is playing every snap. I think him and Aaron Rodgers are in the same tier.
Right.
Or close to it.
I agree. I think I'd rather have Joe Flacco. But Joe Flacco was the Jets quarterback or one of their quarterbacks a few years ago, and he didn't look that good. So maybe it's the Jets. They haven't been good, really. I mean, they've had some stretches, but mostly,
I mean, outside of like the early Rex Ryan years, the Jets had not been good my entire life. When I was a kid, the one thing I remember the Jets for, 2 things. One was, Bill Belichick reneging on that job like a day later. Like that shit that was the wildest shit. Like that, it led Sports Center for like a week, 2 weeks. And then a guy getting like paralyzed. Like that's the only thing I remember. That's the only things I remember the Jets for.
Yeah. No, I remember Testaverde, those teams, and like even Boomer Esiason, like after his time with the Bengals, he played for the Jets for a little while. It wasn't great.
Keyshawn Johnson, throw me the damn ball.
Yeah, give me the damn ball. Yeah. That's probably what they were known for the most.
They were laughing stocks, is what I'm saying.
Curtis Martin was a good running back for the Jets. So yeah. You did mention the Devonte Adams trade. He was traded today to the Jets to be reunited with Aaron Rodgers. We got Texas Spotter have the question: what are our thoughts on the trade? Tristan, you kind of mentioned what you thought, but as far as like from the Adams perspective, this is where he wanted to go, right?
I have no idea what the fuck Devonte Adams wants with his life. Like as a college and career counselor, I would sit Devonte Adams and say, let's talk about ambition. And like when you think about your life and you think about it at the highest level, what does that look like? Because I know it doesn't look like a 40-year-old quarterback on one leg. I know it doesn't look like that. I know we can just think bigger.
Yeah.
We can afford yourself the opportunity to think bigger than I want to play with my homeboys. Like you just did that with Derek Carr. How did that work out? Like you're going back to Aaron Rodgers. Have you watched the New York Jets? Literally, like we just said, the last 40 years, have you watched the Jets? Have you watched the Jets last 2 years? Are you watching the Jets over these last 6 games? Because you're leaving 1-2-14 to guess what? Go to another 2-14. Like, tell me what the point of all this is. Like this is so many better options. Not even being biased, but like, fuck, man, you're 32. You're about to be 32. You got a 29-year-old GOAT level quarterback sitting right here. Like the goal is to win. Then why go to the Jets? You know what I'm saying? So Devonte Adams is still a really good player. I think he makes the Jets marginally better.
Right.
I think because of affirmation issues, like run game, which looked better against the Bills, but still is not good enough to like carry you when Aaron Rodgers is not being spectacular, which is every week now. Offensive line, not good. We knew the offensive line wasn't good last year. They made a couple, additions this year. Neither one of them have significantly upgraded, what they look like, the ability to protect quarterback, the ability to like really get a push in the run game. So I feel like Devonte Adams is going to be a luxury that doesn't fix anything. It's like having this, I don't know, like this 2010 Ford Focus. He's like, with AC is out and, like we got all these different check engine lights on and shit. And he's like, you know what? What if I put some rims on that? Beautiful. But like, does that actually fix the thing that's, not working? So I think it makes it marginally better. I still don't think this is a playoff team. I just think the AFC is too good. If not, there's not a lot of dominant teams, but it's still better than what the Jets are doing.
Yeah.
I think the Jets don't really have a clue what they want to do on a drive-to-drive basis. Like, we're a run team. Last night they were a run team. The week before, like they try to be a pass team. Like, what's your identity? Are you good enough to like execute that identity? I'm not seeing it. And like, yeah, man, I feel like a team could double team Devonte Adams and still take Garrett Wilson out the game. So like, I don't know how good. I don't think this makes them that much better. So
yeah,
that's my thoughts on the trade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy. Devonte Adams is happy to be reunited with his friend. That's great, and they were a very good quarterback receiver combo. But I think that they think more highly of themselves than they actually are, which is saying something. I remember a few years back whenever Rodgers was in his last year with the Packers, either Rodgers or Adams, one of them either posted on Instagram or Twitter, they posted an image of The Last Dance, like comparing themselves to The Last Dance, the Chicago Bulls documentary about Jordan's last year with the Bulls. And I thought that's a little much. Like, like like you're not on that level. Like you're just not. Like you're good, but come on, man. Like
you couldn't even okay. And my last thing on Devontae and Aaron Rodgers, because this shit is so ridiculous. It's not like they were wildly successful.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Like they
put up numbers, but yeah.
Devonte Adams watched Aaron Rodgers in those NFC Championship games. Like he watched them. Like it wasn't even like he underperformed. He wasn't good.
Right.
Like he wasn't good at all in those games over the last few years. Really, again, they won that Super Bowl in 2010 or the 2009 season or 2010 season.
Yeah.
What's happened since then? Like this is 2024. Like 3 presidential terms have gone by. Like, and they haven't so much as even made it back to the Super Bowl. Like, with any other great quarterback, we say, okay, what's happening there? Like it's what's the quarter like? What's happening there? And Aaron Rodgers skated for so long, and when he stopped being able to skate, it's like it's time to shake town. But no, man, Aaron Rodgers hasn't been good since 2021. Yeah. He hasn't been like great, especially in the playoffs. 2015, 2016, like I don't like somewhere around there. Like it's just been a while, so I'm confused as to the optimism from Devonte Adams and going back when he had better options.
Rodgers' last great moment, I think, was that it was a playoff game against the Cowboys in Dallas, where he like had that wild play where he's like ran to his left, fired it down the sideline.
Yeah.
I think it was a tight end who caught the ball, which set up the field goal that either sent the game to overtime or won the game. That was like the last great Rodgers moment. I think that was 2018, maybe. Honestly, I can't remember. Yeah. That was a great play, but since then we haven't really seen it from Aaron Rodgers. But season's not over. Still have 11 more games to go for the Jets, and because it's New York, we'll get to see most of them in prime time, unfortunately. Any other thoughts before we go to the college game? Any other thoughts from week 6 of the NFL?
No, I think that's we'll just quick. We don't really talk about it. we talked a little bit, but I did also think Drake May looked good enough.
Okay, yeah,
I thought he played well. Like you mentioned the touchdowns he threw, but
yeah,
I thought he looked like he belonged on the field. He didn't look like David Carr
yeah.
Jr. He just he looked comfortable. So interesting to see. Like I'm gonna watch this Jags Patriots game, but like I'm dreading it already. But mostly to see what Drake May. At least I have a reason to watch the Patriots now. So
Right. Yeah, Drake May, he threw a pretty good deep ball in that game. I honestly, I've never seen him play. I did not see the preseason. I didn't see him at North Carolina. So this was my first time seeing the guy in action.
I'm a Carolina basketball fan, and his brother is he's Carolina legend Luke May,
Okay.
who hit the shot to beat Kentucky in a Sweet 16 in 2017. Yeah, the year they won the championship.
Okay. That's a good nugget there. I did not know that. Very cool. Speaking of college, let's go to college football. Number 1 Texas rolled over Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry. I did not expect much out of this game because Oklahoma's offense is challenged to say the least.
Challenges.
Texas didn't look that great, honestly. 34-3. What'd you think about this game at the Cotton Bowl? What were your thoughts?
Texas didn't look great. The defense looked great. The offense was skittish, I think is the best way to put it. Benefited from a lot of big plays, too many drives just got stalled. On a positive note, I think I'll say the positives. The defense was great.
Yeah.
I thought Texas was able to run the ball well. Pass game, like I said, was hit or miss. The biggest thing I took from that game is Justin Fields, against Russell Wilson type thing. I think Quinn Ewers is the best quarterback at Texas.
Yeah.
He has the most experience. I guess he's the one I would trust more in a big game, big spot, because of that experience. But Arch Manning is the more talented quarterback by far.
Yeah.
And I think that he raises the ceiling of that offense much higher than Quinn Ewers. So it's something to monitor because Quinn threw that pick on the first drive.
Yeah.
And he looked shaky in the second and third drives. And I remember asking somebody like, man, I don't know, man, how long?
Yeah, you weren't the only one. I was asking the same question. I was like, how much longer before we're seeing Arch Manning? Because you can't lose this Oklahoma team. You can't.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it, Sark. This may not be Alabama levels of pressure, but you can't do it. Not this year.
Yeah. No, it was you're right. He was pretty shaky to start out with. Texas, figured it out, won the game pretty easily. But as Tricia points out in the chat, they got the big game this weekend. Maybe the biggest game of the college football season so far. Georgia at Texas. What are you looking forward to in that matchup?
I'm looking forward to. I've been looking forward to this for a couple years now.
Yeah.
Just kind of seeing how does Texas match up front, because against OU they look like they look like an SEC team, up front against OU. Against Michigan, who's cornfield bred O-lineman. The country music listening O-lineman, I would say. Texas was able to match up well with them. So that lets me know that at least size-wise that they can match up well with Georgia up front. But that's going to be the game, is up front. Honestly, I want to see a lot of the speed on the outside. Can they match up well with that? I know Bond is really fast and more physical than he looks. But yeah, they definitely need to tighten up. I want to see how the physicality and the speed matches up, because that's something that's going to inform how Texas plays the rest of the year, especially in the playoff. I was going to be informed about, hey, what gap is there still between Texas and your Alabamas and and Georgia as far as like getting those guys that you need in order to compete.
Yeah.
Not even year to year, but like game to game in the SEC. So that's what I want to see. Like, is there a gap between Texas and Georgia in on the athleticism side, physicality, the size, the speed? Quinn Ewers, like this is quite possibly, I would argue, the biggest game of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, last year they played in the playoff, cool, but like this is a bigger stage. This is really like your true introduction to the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see how they match up.
Well, same thing with the Oklahoma game. You think it's gonna be a quick hook? You think Manning, if he struggles in the first 2 or 3 possessions, are we gonna see Manning?
Because it depends on how he struggles.
How he struggles, yeah.
If he, I don't even like. He could throw a pick or two. He could turn the ball over once or twice, and I don't know if there'll be a quick hook. It's like, do you look? Is there an athleticism gap between Quinn Ewers and Georgia defense? Like, do you look small? Do you look like you're not comfortable playing against that level of like athlete? That's when I think, like, if you're just lowering the ceiling because you can't push the ball down the field, that's when it's time to go to Arch Manning. Because Arch can come in there and throw and turn the ball over too. But it's like, hey, can Arch also scramble right and hit this out route on the left, left sideline, 20 to 30 yards downfield?
Yeah.
If he can do that and Quinn Ewers cannot do that, then that's probably will get him pulled quicker than a couple turnovers. Because, I mean, Georgia's defense is really good.
Yeah. Should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. It's been the one circled on the calendar all year, honestly. Back to this past weekend, did you watch much of the Oregon Ohio State game? Oregon got the win.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I will.
They edged Ohio State 32-31 at home.
What's my guy? The Ohio. What's his first name? Miller. What's it? Mason Miller. I want to say.
Yeah.
I might be fucking that up. He had one of the dumbest plays in the game I've ever seen in my life, man. Like they were down and driving, and with 6 seconds left, and he tries to scramble through the middle of the field with no timeouts left to get down, spike the ball, whatever, drop to one knee, and he wanted to get one extra step, one extra yard.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get down to like stop the clock. Man. I was like, you idiot. Are
you talking about Will Howard, the quarterback?
Yeah. Will Howard. Mason Miller's the USC guy.
Yeah.
I'm just confusing these mediocre.
Well, I mean, obviously it's because they're all in the Big Ten. Because as we know, these traditional Big Ten powers like Oregon and USC and these matchups against Ohio State, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, and all these crazy matchups we're getting. Yeah.
Cal and the ACC, get the fuck out of here. But Will Howard, my bad, Will Howard. Yeah. Let me make sure you get proper credit for one of the dumbest players I've ever seen in my entire life. But outside of that, man, was impressed by Oregon. Dylan Gabriel, Heisman candidate, made some big plays. Ohio State at a certain point was looking like to take control of that game, and Oregon seized it and took control and kept that. So, yeah, man, I looked at that game as like a Rose Bowl. It was like,
yeah, exactly.
That's what it felt like. It's kind of like that time slot in the day. Like, oh, this is like a prime Rose Bowl game at like 2:30 on January 3rd or something like that. Instead, this is your run-of-the-mill Big Ten championship. Like we just got to get used to. But Ohio State, like in a pressure environment, like they stepped up. So it's a really good game, an entertaining game, especially at the end with that idiocy from Will Howard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a fun one. I was kind of making fun of the fact that the Pac-12's no more basically, but the Big Ten has all these crazy teams in it. But we will get these matchups, and we'll get used to those. We'll get used to seeing USC and Ohio State play, or Oregon and Ohio State, or Oregon and Michigan. I mean, these are, like you said, these are definitely like Rose Bowl kind of matchups that we're going to get week to week. So
for some reason, like Oregon playing Ohio State or Michigan doesn't seem as egregious as like USC. Like I guess we exclusively associate USC with like the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Pac-10. Shit, I got used to seeing Pac-12.
Yeah. It was the Pac-8 before the Pac-10, I think. So
true. Something about Oregon. Maybe because Oregon is like, I don't know, Northwest. You think outside trees and forests and stuff like that. Like that. It's not too far off geographically. Right. Like Michigan, Iowa, or some of these other places.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. So another crazy weekend of college football. I think also Alabama plays Tennessee this weekend.
Maybe. Alabama plays Tennessee.
Yeah. That should be a good one. And once again, like the SEC has all the big matchups.
Yeah. I think Alabama's gonna roll. Tennessee almost got me, man. I've been trained throughout life, since Peyton Manning was there. Like, don't trust Tennessee.
Yeah,
they will blow it. Like, one national championship in my personal lifetime, and it was the year after Peyton Manning left.
Yeah, it was T. Martin. T. Martin led them. Yeah,
legend. But they almost had me because they came out this season looking excellent offensively. Josh Heupel. Like really had them, like they're putting up points and they've struggled to score. They've looked like an NAIA team, the last couple of weeks offensively. I think Alabama rolls, man. I just book that. I don't gamble. If anybody in the chat gambles, take the over. Like Alabama's gonna roll.
Yeah. Although Alabama, they had a tough one on Saturday. They had a close one.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, 2-game losing streak after losing to Vandy. Caleb DeBoer they would have moved his family for him. He would come home and everything would have been out on the street.
Yeah. We got Frank Cooper joining the chat with predictions.
I know him.
Yeah, I do too. He's got Texas over UT. I think he means Texas over Georgia and Bama over Tennessee. So
38-31. I'm thinking I don't think Tennessee gets 30. I don't think Tennessee gets more than 21. I'm calling it.
Okay.
38-20. Bama.
What about the Texas-Georgia game? Score prediction.
I think Texas wins by 3.
Okay. 31-28 or something like that? Or
31-28, 34-31, something like that. But shit, I mean, both teams might get hot, 30-35, 44-41. I think Texas by 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to the game. Can't wait to talk about that. We'll be talking about that next week also with Week 7 NFL action. Tristan, before we get out of here, do you have any other final thoughts on the NFL or college football or maybe even high school, middle school football, flag football? Like let's get into it, right? 7-on-7. Let's go.
Man, I need Tyreek Hill to come home, man. It's time to come home, man.
Do you think that's a possibility? I mean, the Dolphins are real bad. No,
I don't see the Dolphins like giving up on the season this early. I do think Tyreek's contract is like not easily. It's very tradable after this year. What they do with then, who knows? But it's looking like Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, and like it. So that's what I'm expecting. I don't think the Chiefs need another deep threat. I think they need to trust Xavier Worthy more on those deep threats, more deep shots, and we just need another guy who can win in man-to-man coverage. That's all I ask. If you can win in man-to-man coverage, congratulations, you are a Kansas City Chief. I really don't think they need anything more than that. Can you win one-on-one?
Yeah.
That's all I need, man. So my hopes are I don't have these high hopes for like this wide receiver 1. I think for all intents and purposes, Xavier Worthy is wide receiver 1. Travis Kelce is wide receiver 2 plus TE 1. So we're just gonna have to roll with that, and whoever we get on the trade market. And again, can you win? Can you beat a man-to-man defense?
Yeah.
Like, can you get some yards after the catch, man? You know, but it's Xavier, Juju, and Travis Kelce for the time being. We're gonna have to let that ride. My boy Justin Watson, man.
Yeah.
Big love for Justin Watson. Big fan. But that's it.
Well, you'll be there live in person to see the Super Bowl rematch, Chiefs at Niners, Santa Clara next Sunday. You'll give us a report from the game. That'll be cool. That's a big game. That's a big matchup.
I hope I don't get in a fight. People tend to see me like we went to Astros Rangers, and I got in like a little shit talking match against this guy outside the game after the game. After the Astros won, we went to watch the Warriors and the Sixers, and some Sixers fan was talking. You know, like it's always me. It's like something on my face that says, "Let's talk shit to that guy." I'm like, "Sir, I'm trying to get home." I'm not for it, but
yeah,
it's gonna be fun. It'll be my fourth Chiefs game. They've won every one but one that I've been to. So,
which one did they lose?
They lost to the Texans.
Okay.
Was kind of a Texans fan at the time, but also highly appreciative and in awe of the Chiefs. So like everything else they won. So
yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing all about your trip to Santa Clara. Also, I think the 49er fans are not that bad. I mean, like there's some of them. I mean, now if they're playing the Raiders, that's a different story. But I don't. Even though they've met 2 Super Bowls, I don't know that they have a tremendous hatred for the Chiefs or their fans. So,
oh no, they do.
You think so?
As a Warriors fan, I listen to a lot of Stanford Bay Area radio.
Okay,
and they have a deep respect, but also like, this team is so good, I hate them to death. You know, it's kind of that thing. You know, but
I mean that's fair because I mean if you look back at those Super Bowls, last year's went to overtime, could have gone either way. The other one, you know, they had Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback. So like what were you expecting? I mean, like the fact that you made it there was good enough. That's about as good as they were possibly going to do. So anyway, looking forward to hearing about that game. Looking forward to watching that game. Texas and Georgia. We got a lot to talk about next week. So please join us then. So, you know, now you know what we thought about week 6 of the NFL season. We want to know what you think about it. The best way to do that is join us in the live chat, just like Geeking Out with Melly Mel did, just like King B. Johnson, and just like the Texas Spotterhead, and of course Frank Cooper, who will hopefully be back on the pod with us next week. He was on assignment this week, couldn't join us. Looking forward to having him back. And hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, do all the YouTube stuff. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out. We appreciate it. But you know, if video is not your thing, that's okay. We're on the audio platforms as well. You can check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on social media. We're on social media. Everybody's on social media. Check us out. We're at Watchers Basement on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Also, be sure to use the hashtag Watchers Basement. So that does it for this week. So for Tristan, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Chiefs.